So after former President Obama claimed credit for our current economic boom yesterday, President Trump fired back, saying the boom is due to rolling back Obama's policies by cutting regulations and taxes. So who's right? Who cares? Think about it. The debate we're having isn't over how great things are. That ship has sailed. The media and the Dems see there's no more denying the success, so now it's about quibbling over credit. Fine, let the Dems have it. It won't win them election, but it might reduce their tears. Divorce rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
Greg Gutfeld has launched a fierce attack on Barack Obama's legacy, and it's getting a lot of attention. With his signature humor and sharp criticism, Gutfeld challenged the image many people have of the former president. He pointed to what he sees as years of unfulfilled promises, strong media support, and double standards among political elites. For years, many viewed Obama's legacy as beyond criticism. Gutfeld disagrees. He took aim at that reputation and questioned whether the results matched the promises. More importantly, he raised a question that many commentators avoid. After 8 years in office, what major problems did Obama actually solve?
Paul, is it helping the party to tell them to return to the rhetoric that helped them lose in 2024, like the dictator kind of stuff? It doesn't work on half the country. It's not going to get any better.
I don't think they have answers. And is it me? He's looking banged up.
Yeah, he's been having
This is the first time. It's something I've never seen with him. He looks scary.
Yeah.
According to Greg Gutfeld, Barack Obama managed to leave office with a strong public image despite what critics see as years of disappointing results. Many supporters focused on his speeches, personality, and message of optimism, while overlooking policies that opponents believe failed to deliver real improvements. Gutfeld argues that exposing this gap doesn't require anything special. In his view, it only takes a willingness to look past the inspiring rhetoric, examine the facts, and ask whether the outcomes match the promises that were made.
Asking you to believe, not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can.
Oh, God.
Well, it was a moving speech, and the audience response equally moving. So if the Obama presidency were a film, this speech would be the climax. All that's missing is the horse, the sunset, the rousing closing music as the title card reads the end, perhaps in cursive.
If you're enjoying this discussion, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Now, let's get straight to the point. Critics argue that Barack Obama was often praised more for his image and presentation than for his actual results. Listening to some of his biggest supporters, you might think he solved every major problem facing the country and delivered success on every front. Greg Gutfeld sees it differently. He looks beyond the praise and focuses on the record itself. His question is simple: when all the speeches, headlines, and public attention are set aside, what were the major achievements that truly changed the country? He challenges viewers to examine the results rather than rely on the reputation.
With somebody that you don't like and you try to lose them at the party. That's what Obama has done to Joe. He's lost them at the party, and now he's moving on, and then he tweets, and then you find out that he's tweeting about something else while you're at the party. And it's just, I think it's kind of mean to Joe. The second thing is that it's part of that I told you mechanism that only happens when things are good. Because do you think Obama would take any responsibility if the good times were actually bad times?
Gutfeld digs into Obama's record by looking beyond the polished image and campaign promises. Obama entered office with a message centered on hope and change, but critics argue that many Americans were left wondering how much had actually improved by the end of his presidency. According to Gutfeld's perspective, economic growth remained slow, many workers saw little improvement in their earnings, and everyday struggles continued for millions of people. Despite these concerns, he believes the media often presented Obama's presidency as a major success story. His main argument is that public praise and positive headlines should not replace a close look at real-world results. Gutfeld challenges the popular narrative and asks whether the achievements match the expectations that were set at the beginning.
President Obama took another stand against evil yesterday, lashing out at ISIS, pernicious gang crime and human rights abuses in left-wing dictatorships like Venezuela and Cuba. I was kidding. He went after Fox News again.
I think the effort to suggest that the poor are sponges, leeches,
Next came the massive stimulus package, which was promoted as a major step toward rebuilding the economy and creating new opportunities. Supporters saw it as a necessary response to a difficult situation, but critics like Gutfeld argue that it fell far short of the promises that were made. From his point of view, an enormous amount of money was spent without producing the results many Americans expected. He suggests that the program generated plenty of publicity and optimistic messaging, yet left people questioning where the real benefits were. Gutfeld's criticism is straightforward. If such a large investment was supposed to drive economic recovery, why did so many people feel that little had changed in their daily lives? He argues that the attention given to promoting the program often seemed more visible than the results themselves.
In an act of wonderfully skewed priorities, President Obama will appear in a reality TV show in which he gets survival tips from Bear Grylls in Alaska. Funny how far that is from the streets of Chicago, outposts in need of real survival training, much like the streets of Baltimore, Milwaukee, New York, New Orleans, where citizens are ventilated daily.
Healthcare was often presented as Obama's signature achievement, but Gutfeld argues that it became one of the most controversial parts of his presidency. He points to the troubled launch of the healthcare program, which faced technical problems and widespread criticism in its early days. One of his main complaints centers on promises that many people believed were not fully delivered. According to Gutfeld, some Americans found themselves dealing with higher costs, changing coverage options, and growing confusion about the system. From his perspective, the gap between expectations and reality became a major source of frustration. He also questions the decision to award Obama the Nobel Peace Prize so early in his presidency. Gutfeld argues that the recognition came before many of Obama's long-term actions and policies could be properly evaluated. National security and government surveillance are another focus of his criticism. Obama campaigned on openness and transparency, yet critics argue that surveillance programs continued to expand during his time in office. Gutfeld views this as a contradiction between campaign promises and actual policy. His broader point is that Obama's communication skills often helped shape public perception. Gutfeld argues that strong speeches and a calm public image received significant attention, while difficult questions about policy outcomes and government actions were often pushed into the background.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it! When she cleans it!
Let's go back to the issue of Wall Street. Obama was often presented as a leader who would stand up for ordinary Americans and hold powerful financial institutions accountable. However, Gutfeld argues that the reality looked very different once he took office. According to Gutfeld, major banks and financial firms emerged from the economic crisis in a much stronger position, while many everyday Americans continued to struggle with job losses, financial hardship, and home foreclosures. He questions whether the people most responsible for the crisis ever faced meaningful consequences. Gutfeld also criticizes what he sees as overly favorable media coverage throughout Obama's presidency. In his view, many journalists treated major successes, setbacks, and controversies through a lens that was unusually supportive. He argues that decisions that might have faced harsher scrutiny under other administrations were often explained away or defended. His broader claim is that Obama's presidency benefited from strong media support, helping maintain a positive public image even when critics believed there were serious policy failures that deserved tougher questioning and closer examination.
And maybe Obama had something to do with today's economy. I mean, without Obama, would we have Trump? Fact is, this debate says a lot about life today. The Trump economy is so great that Trump haters now want credit for it. Next thing you know, Obama will claim credit for putting kids in cages.
Gutfeld also turns his attention to education policy. He argues that large amounts of funding were poured into the system with promises of major improvements, yet many struggling schools continued to face the same challenges. In his view, increased spending and new programs often produced more paperwork and bureaucracy than measurable results for students. He points to underperforming schools in major cities as examples of places where expectations were high but progress remained limited. According to Gutfeld, ambitious plans and reform efforts frequently generated headlines, while many parents and students saw little change in their everyday experience. Gun control is another area where he claims there was a disconnect between public messaging and political reality. Gutfeld argues that leaders who advocate for stricter firearm regulations often rely heavily on personal security measures themselves, which he sees as a contradiction that deserves closer scrutiny. He also raises questions about immigration enforcement during Obama's presidency. Gutfeld notes that despite Obama's reputation among supporters as a compassionate leader, deportation numbers became a major point of debate and criticism. He argues that some policies later associated with immigration controversies had roots in earlier administrations, a fact he believes is often overlooked in public discussions. Overall, Gutfeld's argument is that many policies were presented in a positive light, while the outcomes and controversies surrounding them received far less attention than they deserved.
5 more words.
Fact. Obama's now a Republican.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
Gutfeld also focuses on the national debt, arguing that government spending increased dramatically during Obama's years in office. While supporters point to the economic challenges he inherited, Gutfeld contends that the administration's policies added significantly to the country's financial burden and raises questions about claims of fiscal responsibility. He often uses humor to challenge the image of Obama as a strong economic manager. In Gutfeld's view, difficult economic conditions existed before Obama took office, but he argues that many of the administration's decisions failed to solve those problems in a lasting way. Turning to Obama's post-presidency years, Gutfeld suggests that the former president successfully transformed himself into a highly influential public figure, author, speaker, and media personality. He portrays Obama as someone who remained closely connected to powerful cultural and business circles long after leaving office. Gutfeld also argues that many of Obama's policy achievements proved less durable than supporters expected. He points out that a number of initiatives relied heavily on executive actions rather than permanent legislative changes. As a result, when a new administration took power, several of those policies were modified, reversed, or replaced relatively quickly. His broader conclusion is that lasting political success should be measured by results that endure beyond a single presidency. According to Gutfeld, the ease with which some Obama-era policies were undone raises questions about how permanent those achievements really were.
On Sunday, Val Jarrett went on CNN to defend her pal, President Obama. I wonder if the president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done something to embarrass himself.
The president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done anything to embarrass himself.
Now that's a low bar for achievement. He hasn't embarrassed himself. But it's true, no one on his staff was caught in bed with a giraffe yet. But to agree with Val, you gotta ignore the IRS, the DOJ, Benghazi, Secret Service, Bo Bergdahl, and the secret server that led to the Orange Crush.
Gutfeld argues that despite Obama's calls for unity, political divisions grew during his presidency. He believes political correctness made open debate more difficult and discouraged opposing views. Rather than calling Obama ineffective, Gutfeld describes him as highly strategic, saying his speeches, public appearances, and responses were carefully planned. He argues that Obama's greatest strength was shaping public perception. Gutfeld also disputes the idea of a scandal-free presidency, claiming that some controversies received less scrutiny than they would have under other administrations. In his view, strong media support helped maintain Obama's positive image and played a major role in shaping his legacy.
Today we woke up to breaking news. Obama isn't woke at all.
This idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly. The world is messy. There are ambiguities. People who do really good stuff have flaws. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was?
Gutfeld argues that Obama's presidency expanded the size and influence of government rather than reducing bureaucracy. He claims that many agencies grew larger while accountability and efficiency failed to improve in meaningful ways. According to Gutfeld, the administration often received praise for its messaging and presentation, even when critics believed results fell short of expectations. He argues that mistakes were frequently explained away, while successes received significant attention. His overall conclusion is that Obama left office with a strong public image, but many of the challenges facing the country remained unresolved. Gutfeld contends that despite promises of major change, Americans were left dealing with economic concerns, political division, and growing frustration. In his view, Obama's greatest achievement was maintaining a positive reputation even as critics questioned the lasting impact of his policies.
And now, technically, it's a scandal telling America you can keep your doctor, a callous deception that hurts millions. And it's a scandal of will to deny a toxic doctrine fomenting apocalyptic violence. And it's a scandal to ignore the modern Black Death, a plague currently crippling Chicago. Obama's tenure had more dirty linen than Charlie Sheen's hamper. But when your heart's in the right place, doing the wrong thing's always forgivable. And maybe scandal was just so common we got...
Gutfeld says his criticism of Obama is about more than politics. He argues that people should look beyond the image, branding, and carefully crafted public persona and focus on the actual results. His central question is simple: does the reality match the reputation? According to Gutfeld, Obama's greatest strength was his ability to inspire and communicate a message that connected with millions of people. However, he believes that strong messaging often overshadowed deeper debates about policy outcomes and long-term consequences. He also argues that many cultural and political trends seen today were influenced by ideas and attitudes that gained momentum during Obama's era. From media narratives to identity-based politics and debates over free expression, Gutfeld believes the impact of those years continues to shape public life. His broader point is that Obama remains one of the most influential political figures of the modern era, but that influence should be examined critically rather than accepted without question. Gutfeld argues that understanding Obama's legacy requires looking beyond the speeches and public image to evaluate the lasting effects of his presidency and the culture that followed. Gutfeld argues that modern politics often places too much value on image, slogans, and social media messaging while paying less attention to real-world results. In his view, powerful speeches and carefully managed public appearances can create a positive reputation even when critics believe important problems remain unsolved. He says Obama's legacy is defined by what he sees as a gap between expectations and outcomes. According to Gutfeld, supporters focus on the inspiring message and public image, while critics point to policies and results that they believe failed to meet the promises that were made. His final argument is that history ultimately judges leaders by their achievements, not by headlines, popularity, or media praise. Gutfeld believes Obama's reputation has been shaped as much by public perception as by policy, and he encourages people to look beyond the narrative and evaluate the record for themselves. In the end, Gutfeld's message is simple: don't judge a presidency by the speeches alone. Judge it by the results it leaves behind.